In this short presentation, I would like to examine the intersection of instructional multimedia and the digital divide. The digital divide, for those who aren't familiar, refers to the growing gap between people who we would consider underprivileged or disadvantaged and those who are not, in their access to the internet, computers, and other digital devices. The digital divide disproportionately affects the poor, people in rural areas, elderly people, and also handicapped or disabled people. The three articles I've selected, I want to challenge this common idea and what I would call a myth that technology and multimedia are these great equalizers, that they put everybody on this level playing field. Because while some forms of multimedia might be easy for students to learn from, I would also argue that some forms of multimedia can cause additional problems for students who might already be at a disadvantaged place. So we'll talk a little bit more about that as I go through this presentation. I just want to say also, it's not always about the content itself. It's not always about the multimedia content. It's about how the students can obtain and access that content. So I wanted to examine how college students understand, use, and create multimedia in their learning environments in light of this digital divide. This reflection focuses on writing and writing classes at the collegiate level. The first article gives a general overview of the digital divide, as well as the differences in college students' access and understanding of technology and multimedia. The second examines hybrid, that is part online, part in class, writing courses and how these courses and their content, both multimedia and traditional, affect student performance. And the third discusses a possible avenue to build technology literacy and multimedia literacy through writing, specifically through a method called digital storytelling. The first article, Mind the Gap, the Digital Dimension of College Access, it examines the quote-unquote technology identity of college students through four interrelated lenses: knowledge, attitude, opportunity, and motivation. Knowledge and opportunity regarding multimedia and technology in general can go on to shape a learner's attitude and motivation, affecting their entire learning experience. The quantitative survey assessed the experiences around technology that students encountered at home, in high school, and at their universities, which influenced the development of specific knowledge, skills, and attitudes. One of the findings from this survey conducted was that only 50% of the students that they surveyed ranked themselves as proficient in creating and using multimedia content. For comparison, 94% ranked themselves proficient in word processing. The regression analysis of the survey also found that students of color and low-income students were significantly less likely to have completed a multimedia project in high school. A student's access to technology and multimedia can have a compounding effect on a student's future ability to learn from these methods in the future, and can also shape their overall attitude towards technology. The second article talks about the hybrid of writing courses, as well as kind of proposes a few different alternative methods for those who would like to pursue hybrid courses. The article is a review of research that's around online and hybrid writing courses. Hybrid writing courses are those that are offered mostly online, but they also can include a face-to-face or an in-person component. The researchers here point out that students tend to gravitate towards hybrid courses because they want the flexibility and financial savings that these types of classes can offer. But paradoxically, the students who want that flexibility and want that financial security are those that most need additional resources, whether academic or financial. A student may wish to take a hybrid course because they can't afford transportation to the campus, yet this same student might not be able to purchase a computer, which is necessary to get online and do the course material. In a developmental or remedial writing courses offered as hybrids, the multimedia used is of critical importance. The researchers note that these students likely have poor reading skills, and online courses are heavily text-based. Multimedia options such as infographics and recorded video can help students succeed in these courses. That is, if they can access that multimedia to begin with. Finally, the third article is called Tech Talk, Digital Storytelling and Developmental Education. This was more of a review of different research that had already been done, as well as proposing some future methods for digital storytelling in the classroom, specifically in the college level. The researchers here propose that digital storytelling is an instructional method that educates students about the writing process and multimedia creation and interpretation. Just to define it, digital storytelling is recorded audio based on a written piece. So, sort of like a podcast, if anyone listens to podcasts. Images or video can also be added, but it's not necessary for it to be considered digital storytelling. For a digital storytelling project to work, students obviously must be given access to a computer or a recorder, but the benefit here is that any additional elements can be added as students gain those skills or as they gain resources, get access to additional resources like video editing software, sound effects, Photoshop, things like that. And just briefly in conclusion, with my references here on the screen, though I don't work as a writing instructor, I don't educate students about writing. I think that there's a lot of overlap between this and what I do. Technology equity and the digital divide affects my day-to-day job as a college financial aid counselor. Most of the processes my students need to complete to receive financial aid have to be completed online through a series of portals and applications. Some are from the federal government, some are from Ohio State, some are through their home high schools, and some of them are pretty unfamiliar with the process, and it's difficult to navigate, especially if a lot of my students don't have a computer. They're just doing everything on a tiny phone screen. So I'm challenged by what I've read in these articles to provide additional assistance to these students to not only become financially literate, but to be technology literate or multimedia literate as well. So they know how to process and interpret what they're seeing and how to apply that to their own knowledge about financial aid. Researching additional multimedia options to get my students to the other side of the digital divide is very important to me, and it's something that I'd like to research further.